Hey, it's Papa Nasty here, and today I'm doing a video on the Lord of the Rings Rise to War, where I'm going to be specifically looking at the Warcry set bonus. So as you know, during 2.0 there were all these different sets that came out. One of the sets was this Warcry set, where you need 4 pieces in it to complete the set, and then during the first 3 rounds this formation's damaged out plus 20%. So because it affects the whole formation, that will affect both your troops and the commander. One of the interesting things with this buff is that this buff is, when it's active, and it is activated in the very first phase of the battle, prior to the pre-battle phase, and then it will deactivate at the end of round 3 or start of round 4, I forget which. But if you put any enduring abilities, if you apply any enduring abilities during that time, so for example, if you had if you applied a bleed, right, while Warcry was up, the bleed would still be doing plus 20% damage, even in round 4 or round 5. If, assuming it was a 2-turn bleed, if that bleed was applied, when it was applied, you had the damage bonus from Warcry. Now that's a very important thing to remember, because with Skullhelm, and this video is largely centered around Skullhelm, the Ringwraith ability, this is applied during the pre-combat phase. Likewise, Executioner is applied during the pre-combat phase. Lord of the Wolves is applied during the pre-combat phase. So all 3 of these abilities will benefit from Warcry for the entire duration of the battle. Ringwraith admittedly only lasts 2 rounds anyway, but you sort of get the picture there, that you're getting very good sort of value, or very good returns on the effect of Warcry, because you're getting 20% bonus, not just for 3 rounds, but for all of combat. In saying that, Dark Ranger is the ability which applies, I believe, the most damage during the course of combat, and so it's sort of, and Ringwraith applies the least, but of course Ringwraith applies that damage very early in combat, so it's a bit of a balance. Also worth noting as well that if with Executioner and Ringwraith, if these abilities are applied before White Council, and Skullhelm has very high base initiative, therefore Skullhelm is likely to apply the Ringwraith and Executioner debuff before Gandalf the White or Gandalf the Grey can apply their White Council ability. Therefore, these abilities will not be affected by White Council. This makes these abilities very strong, and I think is one of the reasons why Skullhelm's very popular at the moment, because White Council is very popular. And so while White Council is popular, Skullhelm will be popular. Yeah, and because Skullhelm has such high base initiative, it's very difficult for Gandalf the White and Gandalf the Grey to really buff themselves enough to counteract that, to apply White Council before Skullhelm applies her debuffs. Yeah. So also with Warcry, Azrukor applies his Raider ability, and Fleet of Flames, Fleet of Flames R10 ability, 10-point ability. He applies these during the pre-combat phase as well. Therefore, his Raider ability will gain plus 20% damage through all of combat if you give him the Warcry ability. Witch King, his Ringwraith ability is the same, but he doesn't really do much damage, and to be honest, he's better as a troop commander than as a direct damage commander anyway, because he has really high base command. Yes, that makes him very good at that. His base damage is pretty good too, though. The Undying, same thing with Weapon Master. It's applied during the pre-combat phase, therefore Warcry would affect it for the entire duration. Undead Commander is also applied during the pre-combat phase. This means that if you, and this is not very useful against good because they just don't have many abilities that are damaging abilities that are applied during the pre-combat phase, but if a damaging ability is applied during the pre-combat phase, then you can potentially evade that ability if the Undying has higher initiative than the commander who applied that ability. So it's mainly useful against Skullhelm. So if you've got evil versus evil, if you can get your Undying's initiative high enough so that they act before Skullhelm, then you can just completely get rid of Executioner, completely get rid of Ring Wraith, or 90% chance to get rid of those abilities, because when they are applied onto your commander, onto your units will just evade. Yeah. Anyway, I hope that this has been a useful video. Yeah. Thanks all. If you like the video, like and subscribe. If you didn't, then don't. Cheers. Thanks all. Catch you later.